Hey folks, today's topic we're going to be diving into is why you should never put anything in writing that you wouldn't want everyone else at the company to see. Let's dive into this one.
SaaS CMO Pro.
Hey folks, my name is Bill Macaitis, former CMO CRO at Slack, CMO at Zendesk, SVP of Marketing at Salesforce. I've worked for about 30 years, all in online type companies, online software, and I've definitely made a lot of mistakes over those 30 years. And so today we're going to be talking about why you should never put anything in writing that you wouldn't want everyone else at the company to see. And so that was a great piece of advice that I got at one point in my career. I wish I'd gotten that piece of advice earlier in my career. And I think we've probably all had that at some point where we said something, maybe left it in a voicemail.
Mike, what the were you thinking?
Maybe we wrote something in an email. Maybe we put something in a message, Slack message, MS Teams message, whatever it is, forwarded on to someone else. Maybe it was your company got sued and legal came in and there was compliance and it had to go back through all the old emails. Maybe you sometimes send it to the wrong person. I got into a bad phase once where sometimes I'd be like, work for large organizations, and in the to, where you type in the address, sometimes I'd be talking about a particular topic or a particular person and I'd be like, oh, how do I spell their name? And I would just type their name into the to, because I knew it would come out, show me their full name. And usually I would delete that name, but occasionally I would forget to delete it. That was not good either. So there's a myriad of reasons why, right? That when you put stuff in writing, that it could occasionally get out. I think the simplest way that I found that it just makes sense, and again, I got the great piece of advice, it's just, hey, just don't put stuff in writing that you wouldn't be okay with if it was showed to everyone. If you do need to put something that's a little bit controversial, or maybe it's a hard topic or whatever it is, like a lot of times, like have those conversations in person, right? You're just going to kind of minimize risk. You're going to minimize something that potentially bad could happen, that you can avoid it. So that's kind of a lesson I've learned. Some other strategies that I found have been really helpful for me personally is one, when you're in these type of heated exchanges, right? And a lot of times these happen asynchronously, right? Maybe it's just a heated topic or whatever it is, right? It's just like the response you are writing is a little bit salty, has a little bit language in it, whatever it is, right? What I would try to personally do is, like, when I knew that and I could feel my blood pressure going up, I would just take like a 5-minute break and I would go get a piece of coffee. I go get a glass of coffee, piece of, snacks, whatever it is. And I would just try to collect myself, and then I would go back and I would just reread that email or, message, whatever it was. And a lot of times, to be honest, I was like, that's too rough, right? Like, I don't need to do that. And I would just kind of like tame it down a little bit or kind of adjust the wording. But, we all have that. There's always sometimes 99% of your emails or communications are probably going to be fine, right? You're in a show, but occasionally just things get heated, and giving me that 5-minute block, just a little time alone, I think helped me with that 1%, right? Where I'm like, I really shouldn't send that, right? You kind of regain your senses and you're like, that makes a little more sense. Another thing I found helpful was, so if you use a Gmail, for instance, you can actually go in there in the settings and you can change how quickly it will send that message out. So they give you from, I think, 5 seconds to 30 seconds. I have it set to 30 seconds. To be honest, I wish they had a 5-minute mark. But basically what it does is it will then give you up to 30 seconds where you can recall that message. You can hit the undo send. And again, it'll show the undo send based on how long you have that setting set up for. So sometimes too, that'll just be like, I'll write it up, I'll hit send. And now actually, sometimes I'll just reread the message and I'll be like, oh, actually, there's a typo, or I didn't like how I used that language there. I actually use the feature, semi-regularly, right? So I think that's a nice one. Look into your email clients. If you don't use Gmail, see if they have an option like that. Certainly if you're using a messaging service like Slack or MS Teams or something, you can go back and you can edit your message or delete your message, right? That's a really helpful, when I was at Slack, we were just constantly using the edit feature. I thought it was super helpful. You will, the other person will say that the message was edited, but whatever, right? It's sometimes you make a mistake or you put in the wrong information or again, the wrong tone or something like that. That's super easy. So anyways, those are my strategies. I'd love to hear from you guys. Is there a particular strategy used to avoid sending out that particular email that you kind of wish you had back? I always read through the comments and always enjoy it as well. So again, thanks for joining, guys.